Yun Chujio was good at reading people's expressions. She could tell that none of the masters of the fifth house looked up to Mo Xiaoting or her. Even their greetings were perfunctory. They were probably afraid that the fifth elder would blame them. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have come. Although Mo Xiaoting was unhappy, he still took out the gifts he had prepared. Seeing that the gifts were quite generous, the smiles on the faces of the people from the fifth house became warmer. Whether it was the fifth elder or the older ladies, none of them had any intention of giving Yun Chujio a greeting gift. Yun Chujio's eyes flickered for a moment before she continued to smile coquettishly. Mo Xiaoting was originally worried that the greedy Yun Chujio would take the initiative to ask for a greeting gift, but seeing that she did not react, he finally let out a sigh of relief. After the small talk, it was time for the banquet to begin. Yun Chujio looked at the food on the table and her eyes lit up. Although the people in the fifth ward weren't that good, the food looked good and smelled quite good. After the fifth elder exchanged a few pleasantries, the banquet began. The banquet was naturally filled with alcohol. Mo Xiaoting had just arrived, so it wasn't easy for him to reject the invitation. He quickly became a little tipsy. Yun Chujio's eyes flashed. Was he trying to get the old fox to speak the truth after drinking? TSK, these people were really stupid. Although the old fox's spiritual power wasn't high, he wasn't any less shrewd than these people. It was likely that he was just pretending to be drunk. As expected, Mo Xiaoan began to discuss business matters with Mo Xiaoting. Although Mo Xiaoting said a lot, it was all insignificant details that made Mo Xiaoan frown in anger. Yun Chujio's table was filled with women. Mo Xiaoan's wife, old Madame Wang, smiled and asked, "Fang Chao, I heard that you came up with many good ideas for Guangshen's business. You are so smart. You are much better than my granddaughters." The faces of the girls present turned ugly as they looked at Yun Chujio with an even more unfriendly gaze. A lowly person from the Western continent was better than them? What a joke! Thus, before Yun Chujio could answer, a girl wearing a pink dress said arrogantly, "Grandmother, although Sister Fangkeo's business is not bad, her spiritual power is too low. The most important thing for us cultivators is to cultivate, and everything else is secondary. Sister Fangchao, you should focus on cultivating in the future." Sister Fangjiao is right. My spiritual power is too low. I can't even lift my head in front of my sisters. Yun Chujio lowered her head and said with self-pity. Mo Fangjiao heard Yun Chujio's words, her expression became a little better. It's good that you know. The spiritual power in our eastern continent is much denser than that in the western continent. You should take this time to cultivate properly. It's not a wasted trip to the eastern continent. Yes, thank you for your guidance, Sister Fangjiao. After Yun Chujio finished her words obediently, she picked up her chopsticks and directly picked up half of the fish and placed it into her bowl. She happily ate it. The fish was fresh and tender, and the taste was really not bad. When the other girls in the seat saw this, they all felt disdain in their hearts. As expected, she was a lowly person from the Western continent. One look and they could tell that she had never eaten good food before. She was just a good-for-nothing. Seeing this, old Madame Wang frowned slightly. She originally wanted to ask a few more questions, but now it seemed that there was no need to ask any more. Everyone's impression of Yun Chujio was basically fixed. She had just arrived and had already started fighting with a butler. She had a reckless personality and was even a bit of a scoundrel. In addition, she had low spiritual power, was stingy, and was gluttonous. Other than being able to do some business, she had no other redeeming qualities. After the welcoming banquet, Mo Xiaoting was helped back to the Listening Wind Pavilion by a servant while Yun Chujio was accompanied by manager Xia. Seeing that Yun Chujio had returned, Chun Xiao and Chun Yu eagerly helped Yun Chujio wash up before taking turns to be on night duty outside. Yun Chujio was a little tired from the whole day. She took out her voice transmission talisman and sent An Feng a message before going to bed. Han de N0 VLMO Xiaoan had already summoned Manager Lu in the afternoon. After some questioning, Manager Lu had already boarded Yun Chujia's ship, so he naturally knew what to say and what not to say. After interacting with Mo Xiaoan felt that although Mo Xiaoting was smart, his knowledge was limited. Mo Fengchao was also a reckless little girl. It seemed that Guangshunzi did not do anything to his business. The next day, Yun Chujio woke up and had breakfast. She then went to greet Mo Xiaoting, "Grandfather, today is only the 3rd day of the Lunar New Year. There are still 3 days until the 6th day. Let's go out for a walk. Who knows, we might find some business opportunities." Mo Xiaoting laughed, "What you said sounded nice. I'm afraid you want to go out and play. I won't go. I'm going to discuss some matters with your grandfather. You can bring your maid with you. Be careful and don't cause any trouble." After Yun Chuzhou agreed, she asked Chun Xiao and Manager Xie to inform her. Afterwards, she led Chun Xiao out of the 5th house. "Chun Xiao, what's the most fun and lively place in Fuhu City?" "Miss Feng Chao, our Mo residence is in the east side of the city. There are many shops in the west side and there are even some vendors that are very lively," Chun Xiao said excitedly. She rarely had the chance to go out, so she was naturally very happy. Thus, Yun Chuzhou brought Chun Xiao to the west side of the city. As Chun Xiao had said, there were all kinds of shops on both sides of the street. There were also many pedestrians on the street. Shopaholic Xiaojiu had come online. "Shopkeeper, that red set of clothes, that green set. Yes, I'll buy all of them." "Shopkeeper, I'll buy all the high-grade defensive spirit tools in your shop. Do you have any immortal tools?" "Okay, I'll buy all the immortal tools too. Do you have any talismans above level 10? If you do, I'll buy them all." Chun Xiao was dumbfounded. It was the first time she had seen someone buying things like this. This was not buying things, this was simply squandering. Soon, all the merchants in the West City knew that the goddess of wealth's grandmother had come. They all moved closer to Yun Chuzhou. "Miss, the talismans in our shop are of good quality and are cheap. Come and buy them from us." "Miss, don't listen to his nonsense. The talismans in our shop are the most affordable." "Miss, you've bought quite a lot of talismans. You'd better come to our shop to have a look at the rouge powder. You look so beautiful. If you use some of the rouge powder in our shop, you'll definitely be even more beautiful and moving." Yun Chuzhou felt that she was like the flesh of a monk. These people wished they could come up and bite her. She smiled and said to the crowd, "Everyone, don't be anxious. I still have a lot of things to buy. I'm sure you all know that I'm a branch of the Mo family in the Western continent. I'm here to attend the wedding banquet. There's a reason why I bought so many things." "Ah, forget it. I won't say any more. I won't say any more." Yun Chuzhou covered her mouth as if she was shocked to realize that she had let the cat out of the bag. She quickly covered her mouth and did not say anything. The curiosity of the onlookers was immediately aroused. One by one, they stretched their necks and shouted, "Miss, it's not proper to talk halfway. Why did you buy so many things?" Yun Chuzhou shook her head. "I can't talk nonsense. I was talking about Baloo just now. Let's not talk anymore. I'll go to your shop to buy some rouge powder." As Yun Chuzhou said that, she entered a rouge powder shop and began to choose the rouge powder that she liked. The manager of the rouge shop was so happy that he couldn't close his mouth. He started to introduce the shop. Yun Chuzhou was as forthright as usual. "Okay, put these on for me. I'll buy them all." The manager saw Chun Xiao go to the shop assistant to count the rouge powder that Yun Chuzhou had bought. He asked Yun Chuzhou in a low voice, "Miss, why did you spend so much money to buy so many things?" Don't worry. After you tell me, I definitely won't tell anyone. Yun Chujio looked around, then she lowered her voice and said, Sai, I see that you're also a person who keeps his word. Then I'll tell you. To tell you the truth, you've also seen that I'm a teenage girl. This definitely belongs to the younger generation in the Mo family. I originally thought that when I came this time, those elders would at least give me a greeting gift no matter what. After all, my grandfather had prepared a very generous gift for them. Who would have thought that I didn't even get a melon seed skin? There was no one who gave me a greeting gift at all. I was also a person who loved face. If I returned to the Western continent and someone asked me, how could I have the face to say that I didn't get anything? On the one hand, I was embarrassing myself. On the other hand, I was also embarrassing my own family, so I planned to buy some things from my own pocket. When I went back, I would tell others that this was a gift from my own family. I will only tell you about this matter. You must not tell anyone else. If others find out that it was me who said it, my grandfather will definitely beat me to death. The manager of the rouge shop had a burning desire to gossip in his eyes. He nodded and said, Miss, don't worry. I will definitely not tell anyone. You are welcome to come again next time. Yun Chujio nodded and then brought Chun Xiao to the other shops to continue their sweep. The manager of the rouge shop walked around the shop a few times. He hesitated for a moment and felt that his heart was really suffocating. After hearing such explosive news, if he did not share it with others, it would be too unbearable, right? Forget it. I'll just tell Old Lee from the equipment shop next door. I believe that he won't tell anyone. As long as it doesn't spread, it doesn't count as me not keeping my word. Thus, the boss of the rouge shop went to the equipment shop next door and called Manager Lee from the equipment shop to the side. He said mysteriously, Old Lee, I'll tell you a big secret. I know why that black fragrant grass bought so many things. The eyes of the owner of the equipment shop instantly lit up. Old Joe, quickly tell me, why? I'm dying of curiosity. I heard from my brother-in-law's brother-in-law's sister-in-law's sister-in-law's sister-in-law that the 5 branches of the Mo family didn't even give that Mo Fengchao a greeting gift. Guang Xuanji had given every master of the Mo family a generous gift. TSK, the 5 branches of the Mo family were really stingy. I guess Miss Fengchao bought so many things. She must have gone back to make up the scene. How pitiful. The manager of the rouge shop repeated what Yun Chujio had told him. Ah, so it's like that. I guess the 5th branch of the Mo family doesn't look up to Guang Xuanji at all. After all, the people of the Western continent are just inferior people. They are high and mighty. How could they look up to him? After the manager of rouge shop had satisfied his desire to gossip, he instructed shopkeeper Zhou not to tell anyone else before leaving. Shopkeeper Zhou, who was in the equipment shop, walked around the room a few times. He felt that if he didn't share such explosive gossip, he probably wouldn't be able to sleep well at night. Thus, he shared this news with shopkeeper Qi of the satin shop. Shopkeeper Qi then told shopkeeper Zhang of the snack shop about the news. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. If there was any news that spread the fastest, it would naturally be through the grapevine. Yun Chujio was well versed in this. The more she asked people to keep a secret, the more she wanted them to keep it a secret. Did the family want to keep it a secret? In their dreams. Yun Chujio did not covet what they had. After all, she and Mo Xiaoting had done a lot of dirty work in their business, and Mo Xiaoting had also given Yun Chujio a lot of spirit stones. By doing this, she wanted to attract the attention of the Mo family, just like how she had attracted Mo Xiaoting's attention in the past. If there was a good wind, she could rely on her strength to send her up to the clouds. Without the wind, she would not be able to get up no matter how hard she tried. So, she had to do something. Half a year had passed since the 3-year agreement. Her current level of spiritual power was only at the 4th layer of Ling Xian realm. It was simply too slow. She had to jump from the western continent to the eastern continent. This was a great opportunity and she could not miss it. Yun Chujiu brought Chun Xiao to the restaurant to buy a few good tables. Only then did she swagger back to the 5th branch of the Mo family with Chun Xiao. Yun Chujiu took out a few pieces of rouge and powder and gave them to Chun Xiao and Chun Yu. She then went to see Mo shouting. Yun Chujiu took out the banquet she bought and the grandfather and grandson chatted as they ate. Fong Cao, you didn't cause any trouble when you went out, did you? Mo shouting felt a little uneasy. He didn't think that Yun Chujiu was someone who could take it lying down. Not only did she not receive any gifts yesterday, she was even teased by a few girls from the 5th ward. It was strange that she did not react at all. Grandfather, I'm not a 3-year-old anymore. How can I be so ignorant? I've seen many things that are more novel than what we have on the Western continent, so I bought a lot of them. I'm planning to get our customers to copy them and sell them for a high price, Yun Chujiu said in a low voice. Her voice wasn't low, so both Chun Xiao and the maids at the Listening Wind Pavilion could hear her clearly. Chun Xiao had been wondering what Yun Chujiu had left to say on the street, but now she finally understood. This Miss Fong Chao was really good at doing business. She was always thinking about doing business. She hadn't said anything on the street before because she was afraid that the merchants would laugh at her. How pitiful. Mo shouting and Yun Chujiu's conversation quickly reached Mo Zioan's ears. Although Mo Xiaoan felt that Yun Chujiu was indeed a good material for business, he did not take it to heart. A lot of the things sold in the shop were made from materials from the eastern continent. Even if they brought it to the western continent, they wouldn't be able to replicate it. There was nothing to be afraid of. However, the next morning, the leaders of the other 4 branches of the Mo family came knocking on the door. Mo Xiaoan couldn't help but wonder, were these 4 people here to find out more about Mo shouting? Did they think he was up to something? They were really using the heart of a villain to measure the stomach of a gentleman. So, when Mo Xiaoan saw the 4 people, his expression turned ugly. Why are you so free? You are a rare guest that we usually can't invite. Mo Xiaoquan, who was also the current head of the Mo family, snorted coldly. Xiaoan, I feel that you usually handle things quite safely. I didn't expect you to actually do such an inappropriate thing. It's really embarrassing. Mo Xiaoan was dumbfounded. Big brother, although you're the head of the family, you can't just label me like this for no reason. How am I inappropriate? If you don't believe us, you can take care of the business with Guang Xuanji. Mo Zioan's face was gloomy, he said unhappily. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Mo Zioan's words sounded like he didn't have any silver in his mouth. The 4 of them looked at each other and their suspicions deepened. Mo Xiaoquan scoffed, we'll talk about this later. After all, we have to check our accounts every half a year. We're not here because of business, we're here because of the way you treated Guang Xuanji. Mo Xiaoan was a little surprised. What's wrong with Guang Xuanji? I've arranged for Mo Shouting and Mo Fongchao to be in the upper room. I've also arranged for them to be served with good food and drinks. I've even arranged for a welcoming banquet. Is there anything wrong with that? Mo Xiaoping, from the 4th room, curled his lips and said, Xiaoan, you sure know how to make yourself look good. What's wrong with that? Do you know what everyone in Fu City is talking about? The grandfather and grandson came all the way here, and the 5th branch just showed off their might when they met. Although you later said that it was housekeeper Zhu who made the decision on his own, no one is a fool. Does he have that much courage? It's probably because of your instructions, right? TSK, you actually let the grandfather and grandson stay in the other branch. Only you can do such a thing. Mo Xiaofu had always been dissatisfied with the fifth branch's control of the Western continent's business. Now that he finally had an opportunity, he naturally wouldn't let it go. Mo Xiaogui from the third branch also echoed, "That's right. Xiaoan, you really didn't handle this matter properly." "That's fine, but I heard that the elders of the fifth branch actually didn't give Feng Chao girl a single greeting gift." "Fifth brother, it's not that I want to criticize you, but aren't you being too petty? Guang Xuanji gave you many gifts, but you actually didn't give a single cent. You really embarrassed our family. Now that the whole street is talking about this matter, I don't even have the face to go out." Mo Xiaoan was dumbfounded. After a long while, he finally said, "Let's put housekeeper Zhu's matter aside for now. How did outsiders know that our fifth house didn't give her a greeting gift?" Mo Xiaogui pursed his lips. "Feng Chao girl bought a lot of things yesterday. When others asked her why she bought so many things, she refused to tell them. Then, someone guessed that it was most likely because your fifth branch didn't give her a greeting gift. That's why she bought so many things and was prepared to go back and fill up the scene. Fifth brother, as for the matter of you not giving her a greeting gift, it's probably because some servant didn't keep his mouth shut. Feng Chao didn't say anything. Xiaoan, I don't think your fifth branch is lacking in gifts, right? This matter is too inappropriate. The Mo family is considered a third-class family. If word of this gets out, other families will laugh at us. You'd better think of a way to make up for it, Mo Xiaoquan said unhappily. Mo Zioan's face alternated between green and white. He did not put Mo Xiaoting and Yun Chuzhou in his eyes at all. He thought it was just a branch. It was already good enough for them to come to the eastern continent to broaden their horizons. So, he did not pay too much attention to the gift. If they didn't give it to him, then so be it. Who would have thought that in just a day or so, it would cause such a commotion? Which servant had the mouth to say so much? It was simply despicable. He did not suspect Yun Chuzhou because Yun Chuzhou and Mo Xiaoting had already said that she bought things to go back and fake them. She did not mention the gift at all. Moreover, the rumors on the streets did not mention that Yun Chuzhou had said it herself, and he did not think that any girl would complain about not receiving a gift. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Mo Zioan's expression changed a few times as he said with a dark expression, "Big brother, this matter is indeed inappropriate. I will think of a way to make up for it." Mo Xiaoquan nodded. "Xiaoan, it's not that I'm criticizing you, but there are many pairs of eyes staring at us. If we are not careful, our status as a third-class family will be lost. Furthermore, although Guangshunzi is from the western continent, he has helped us earn a lot of money in the past few months. We still have to put on a show." "That's right, Xiaoan. Don't tell me that the five of you can't even bring out some gifts." Mo Xiaofu from the second branch said with his mouth curled. Mo Xiaoan was so embarrassed that he became angry. He said unhappily, "Second brother, I didn't do this properly." "But what do you mean by saying that with guns and sticks? If you're dissatisfied with me, just say it." Mo Xiaofu naturally wasn't willing to be outdone. "Xiaoan, what do you mean with a gun in your mouth? What I said is the truth. It's fine if you don't want your face, but we, the other four branches, still want it. This good news doesn't go out, but bad news spreads far and wide. I reckon that the other families have already found out about this matter. They might not be laughing at our Mo family." Pan de N0 Mo Xiaoan naturally became even angrier when he heard him say this. "Who do you think doesn't want their face? I think you're deliberately finding trouble." Mo Xiaoquan saw that the two of them were arguing endlessly. He slapped the coffee table. "Enough. Stop arguing. You're already so old, yet you're still arguing like a young boy. Don't you know shame? Xiaoan, I won't say anything else. You should quickly think of a way to make up for it. Also, after the wedding, Xiao Ting will definitely bring Feng Chao girl to visit each room. Don't let things like the fifth room happen again. Mo Xiaoquan was, after all, the head of the family. Mo Xiaoan and Mo Xiaofu looked embarrassed and could only nod in agreement. The five of them chatted for a while more before Mo Xiaoquan and the other three left. After Mo Xiaoan sent the four of them back, he was so angry that he smashed the teapot and teacup into pieces. After calming down a little, he went to see the fifth elder. After Mo Xiaoan saw the fifth elder, he told him what had happened. Father, although we didn't do the right thing with the greeting gifts, the other four branches didn't come over to denounce us. I think they were dissatisfied with our management in Guangshan's business, so they took the opportunity to attack us. The fifth elder was silent for a moment. He snorted coldly and said, "What you said makes sense. The big branch is still a little better, but the other three branches can't wait for us to make a mistake and snatch the business away. I was indeed wrong in thinking about this matter. You should have given the meeting gift to someone else, someone of a higher level. Then, spread the news that the fifth branch's meeting gift was originally intended to be given to the Fengchao girl along with the other branches. Now, they're afraid that people will misunderstand, so they gave it in advance." Mo Xiaoan was stunned. Then, he said in admiration, "Father, your idea is good. This way, not only will we be cleared of all wrongdoing, but we'll also drag the other four branches down with us. When the time comes, if their meeting gift is too thin, it'll be the talk of the town." The corner of the fifth elder's mouth curled up into a sneer. "In our generation, we have always been fighting. However, the four of us together cannot defeat Big Brother. If it were not for Big Brother supporting Xiaoquan, the Mo family would not have fallen into his hands. Let's just endure it now. Hopefully, I can endure through the other four. When that time comes, our five families will be in charge of the Mo family." Mo Xiaoan naturally couldn't directly say that those four old fellows would definitely die in front of the fifth elder, so he said, "Father, our five branches will definitely have the last laugh." This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. After Mo Xiaoan left the fifth elder's courtyard, he called old Madame Wang over and scolded her. Old Madame Wang called her two daughters-in-law over and scolded her. Then, guests began to come to the Waning Moon Pavilion one after another. The first one to come was Steward Xie, who was beside old Madame Wang. After bowing, he said, "Miss Fangcao, this is a greeting gift from our madam to you. We originally planned to give it to you together with the other four rooms after the wedding banquet, but we thought it would be too late, so we asked this servant to send it over." Yun Chujiu saw that Steward Xie was holding two upper-grade spirit tools in his hands, and she said with a smile, "I cannot refuse an elder's gift, so I will thicken my skin and accept it. Please thank Grandmother Wang for my kindness." Steward Xie saw that Yun Chujiu did not intend to give him any money after she handed over the items, so he could only take his leave embarrassedly. He secretly hated Yun Chujiu in his heart. What a stingy iron rooster. This time, she would be rich. Not long after Manager Xie left, old Madame Wang's two daughters-in-law also sent people to deliver the greeting gifts. Although they were not as valuable as old Madame Wang's, they were still pretty good. Even Mo Fangjiao and the other two girls also sent their maids to deliver the greeting gifts. Regardless of whether they were valuable or not, they still meant the same thing. Yun Chujiu sneered in her heart. No wonder the Mo family was only a third-class family. The knowledge of these people was really limited. They did not even know how to put on a full show. Although old Madame Wang and the others had already paid for the gifts, they had all been sent by servants. This was obviously a form of patronizing charity. Even though old Madame Wang and the others were elders and didn't need to come personally, Mo Fangjiao and the others, as their peers, should have come personally and said a few polite words. This way, they would have some face. TSK. Sooner or later, there would come a day when they wouldn't be able to reach the top. When Yun Chuzhou went to pay her respects to Mo Xiaoting, she told him about the gifts she had received. Mo Xiaoting was quite pleased. He felt that Mo Xiaoan and the others' attitude had finally improved. Pan de N0VL Yun Chuzhou smiled. When she returned to the New Moon Pavilion, she told Mo Xiaoting what had happened using the voice transmission talisman. After listening to the content of the voice transmission talisman, Mo Xiaoting was dumbfounded. He knew it. How could this greedy little girl Fong Chao be so quiet? It turned out that she had a big trick up her sleeve. This trick was effective immediately. The fifth wife immediately gave him a gift as a welcome gift. It was impossible for her to think that Fong Chao had planned all of this. Mo Xiaoting once again felt lucky that he did not marry Yun Chuzhou to the Zhao family. Even if she was weak now, she would still soar to the sky sooner or later. Furthermore, this little girl was vengeful and would not have a good ending if she offended her. Mo Xiaoting suddenly remembered what Mo Cheng had told him. He thought about it 100 times and comforted himself that Fong Chao would never find out about this. The news of the fifth son of the Mo family giving Yun Chuzhou the gift was quickly leaked out by the servants of the Mo family. The public opinion finally calmed down. However, because of this incident, more people and forces turned their attention to Mo Xiaoting and Yun Chuzhou. They wanted to see what would happen next. It was finally the day of Mo Xiaoquan's eldest son Mo Junkan's wedding. The event was naturally spectacular. Mo Junkan was most likely the future head of the Mo family, so his wedding was of a high standard. Mo Xiaoting and Yun Chuzhou followed the fifth son to the main room. The men and women naturally sat separately, so Yun Chuzhou sat at a table with Mo Fangjiao and the others. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. It was Yun Chuzhia's first time attending a wedding after she transmigrated. She watched the wedding process with interest. She felt that studying was not bad as she could use it when she got married to a gigolo. Besides Mo Fangjiao and the other three from the fifth room, there were also a few ladies from the fourth room who sat with Yun Chuzhou. After they sized up Yun Chuzhou, they started to whisper to Mo Fangjiao and the others. Although they were whispering, they were actually quite loud. Yun Chuzhou naturally heard them clearly. Sister Fangjiao, I heard that someone went outside to slander your fifth room because they didn't receive the greeting. The one who spoke was Mo Fangzhu from the second room. She naturally didn't have good intentions when she said these words. On the one hand, she was slandering Yun Chuzhou, on the other hand, she was trying to provoke Mo Fangjiao. If Mo Fangjiao and Yun Chuzhou were to fight, it would be exactly what she wanted. Mo Fangxin, who was in the third room, also chimed in, that's right. As a person, you should know your limits. It's your duty to give her a gift but not to give her a favor. It would be shameless of you to ask for a gift yourself. The rest of the people also chimed in. The main content of the sarcasm was that Yun Chuzhou went out and said that the fifth room did not give her a gift. She was really a country bumpkin from the western continent who was petty and greedy. Yun Chuzhou turned a deaf ear to it. She felt that Mo Xiaoan definitely did not have any evidence to prove that she was the one who said the greeting gift. Otherwise, he would not be so calm. As for the sarcasm of the Mo family's girls, this guy did not care at all. It was just a few ducks barking. If they were willing to bark, they could bark. As for whether Mo Fangjiao, this stupid duck, would fall for it, that was not a question that she needed to consider. Naturally, the fifth chamber's people had a headache. What she needed to do was to secretly open the recording stone. Mo Fangjiao had already heard her mother talk about some meeting gifts. She had long been dissatisfied with Yun Chuzhou. Now that she had been provoked by Mo Fangzhu and the others, she naturally could not contain her anger. She glared at Yun Chuzhou fiercely. Humph. Some people are inferior people from the western continent. Their eyelids are very shallow. The things from the fifth branch will be used as charity for beggars. Mo Fangzhu and the others thought that Yun Chujiu would definitely quarrel with Mo Fangjiao after hearing what Mo Fangjiao said. They did not expect Yun Chujiu to continue looking forward with great interest as if she did not hear anything. Mo Fangzhu and the others could not help but be disappointed. It seemed that Mo Fangjiao knew her own limits, so she did not dare to fall out with Mo Fangjiao. It was really disappointing. Mo Fangjiao said a few sarcastic words. Seeing that Yun Chujiu did not respond, she could not let go of the anger in her heart. She could only sit there and sulk. When the newlyweds were sent into the bridal chamber, the banquet officially began. Of course, Yun Chujiu did not stand on ceremony. She picked up whichever dish was delicious and ate happily. The ladies of the Mo family exchanged glances. This Mo Fangjiao was really an idiot. She only knew how to eat and did not have the reserved manner that a lady should have. Mo Fangzhu rolled her eyes and said with a smile, "Sister Fangchao, I heard that you did not grow up in the Western continent." "Yes, I grew up in the Qingxian continent," Yun Chujiu said very naturally as if she did not hear Mo Fangzhu's bad intentions. Mo Fangjiao covered her mouth with her hand. "The Qingxian continent? Isn't that the lowest grade continent? I heard that the concentration of spiritual qi there isn't even 1% of that of our eastern continent. Sister Fangchao, it's a good thing that you were found by Guang Xuanji. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to ascend to the western continent in your lifetime, let alone the eastern continent." This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Mo Fangxin's voice was very loud. Even the nearby tables of women had heard her words. These people could not help but turn their gazes towards Yun Chujiu, wanting to hear what she had to say. Some of these women were from the Mo clan or the collateral family. There were also some from other clans. This was the first time they had seen Yun Chujiu. However, they all roughly knew that this was a little girl from the western continent. At this time, some people were gloating, some were sympathetic, and most people were just watching the show. They all felt that this Mo Fangchao had been scarred by someone, and they were either angry and noisy, or they were silently crying out of self-pity, but Yun Chujiu's next performance shocked them. "Sister Fangjiao, you're right. I grew up on a low-level continent, and the concentration of spiritual qi there is even less than 1% of the eastern continent, but so what? I am now at the 6th level of the spiritual venerable realm. Although I am much lower than the other sisters, I feel that if I grew up in the same environment, some people might not be able to practice as fast as me, right? Actually, I feel that there is no point in discussing a person's background. When you stand at the peak, no matter how humble your background is, there will naturally be people who will help you beautify it. However, when you are at the bottom, no matter how noble your background was in the past, it will only leave a topic for others to talk about after dinner. Moreover, you don't eat, you don't speak, you don't sleep, and you don't speak. I, a country bumpkin from a low-grade continent, don't know the rules. My sisters and sisters should also know the rules, right? It's better to eat quickly. Otherwise, if this dish gets cold, it won't taste good. Wasting it is the most shameful act." After Yun Chujiu finished speaking, she picked up her chopsticks and continued eating, as if the long speech just now was not what she said. The faces of Mo Fangjiao and the others present turned green and white, especially Mo Fangjiao who wished she could find a hole to hide in. She really wanted to refute Yun Chujiu, but she found that there was no room for rebuttal. Say what? Could it be that what Yun Chujiu said was wrong? She had already cultivated to the 6th level of the spiritual venerable realm on a continent with such low spiritual power, how could she say that her cultivation was slow? If it were them, they might not even be able to reach the level of spiritual emperor. Moreover, although the people who cultivated did not have the rules and regulations of the secular world, the higher the level of the family, the stricter the rules were. They knew that they had to eat without speaking, sleep without speaking. They had mocked and ridiculed her for a long time, and it was really a little embarrassing. Some of the other clan's madams were shocked and they heard Yun Chujia's words. This little girl from the western continent was really sharp-tongued. Her counterattack was really beautiful. However, it was a pity that this little girl was from the western continent. Although she was eloquent and was good at doing business, her starting point was too low. She still could not catch up to these girls from the eastern continent. The few girls from the Mo family looked embarrassed. Although they hated Yun Chujio to death, they could not say anything. After all, there were so many people watching them. Yun Chujio could not be bothered with them. It would be better if they did not eat. It just so happened that she ate more. The few girls from the Mo family looked at Yun Chujio as she ate. They cursed in their hearts. She was really a good-for-nothing. She only knew how to eat. It would be better if she choked to death. Yun Chujio ate all their grievances and felt that it was a different feeling. After the wedding banquet ended, Yun Chujio followed old Madame Wang and the others back to the fifth room. Yun Chujio had just entered the waning moon pavilion when Mo Fangjiao angrily followed her in. Mo Fangjiao. You ate our fifth room and lived in our fifth room. Now, you actually embarrassed me in front of everyone. Do you still have any shame? This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Sister Fangjiao, are you just going to stand there and discuss shamelessness with me? Sit down and tell me. Yun Chujio sat on a stone bench and pointed at another stone bench as she said to Mo Fangjiao. Mo Fangjiao felt a huge force hit the cotton and she was so angry that she started to twitch. Mo Fangjiao, stop talking about him. Apologize to me right now, or I will not let you off. After saying that, Mo Fangjiao glared at Yun Chujio fiercely. Chun Xiao and Chun Yu stood at the side, nervously staring at Yun Chujio, thinking that this was bad. Miss Fangjiao would definitely not apologize. When the time came, Miss Fangjiao might make a move. If they made a move, who would they help? Mo Fangjiao also felt that Yun Chujio would definitely not apologize. She had already thought it through. As long as Yun Chujio argued with her, she would take the opportunity to teach this ungrateful brat a lesson. At worst, she would just be punished, at least she could vent her anger. I'm sorry. What did you say? Mo Fangjiao was dumbfounded. What? This country bumpkin apologized so easily. Didn't you ask me to apologize to you? Sister Fangjiao, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have let you down, alright? Chun Xiao, I ate a little too much tonight. Hurry up and make me a pot of tea. I need to digest my food, Yun Chujio said with a smile. Chun Xiao was stunned for a moment and then ran to make tea. This Miss Fangjiao was really unconventional. She had never seen an apology so calm. It was as if she was not apologizing, but rather. It was as if she was coaxing an insensible child. Mo Fangjiao was stunned for a moment and then slammed the stone table. You're just perfunctory. Yun Chujio spread her hands. Sister Fangjiao, my apology is sincere enough. Do you want me to cry and apologize to you? Mo Fangjiao couldn't say a word. She felt even more depressed than before. This Mo Fangjiao had clearly apologized, so why did she feel even more embarrassed? At this moment, Chun Xiao brought over a pot of tea. Yun Chujio took the teapot and poured 2 cups of tea. She used her hands to test the temperature, then, she said, Sister Fangjiao, Sister has used tea as a substitute for wine to apologize to you. I'll drink first as a token of respect. Sister Fangjiao, you look like an open-minded and reasonable person. You want forgive Sister, right? Yun Chujio picked up a cup of tea and drank it in one gulp. Then, she looked at Mo Fangjiao with a smile. Pan Dn0 Vel. Mo Fangjiao wished she could pick up the teacup and splash the tea on Yun Chujio's face. However, she was stopped by Yun Chujia's words, so she could only pick up the teacup and drink it in one gulp. Mo Fangjiao, since you are so sensible, I will let you off this time. If there is a next time, I will teach you a lesson. After Mo Fangjiao finished her harsh words, she gritted her teeth and left. Yun Chujia's eyes flashed as she watched Mo Fangjiao leave. Mo Fangjiao's impulsive temper wasn't particularly annoying, but Mo Fangjiu from the second branch was a pure white lotus. It was better to be careful. The next day, after Mo Xiaoting and Mo Xiaoan had a discussion, Mo Xiaoan accompanied Yun Chujiao to the other 4 branches. Originally, Mo Xiaoan did not need to accompany her personally, but he had his own plans. Firstly, he wanted to see how the other 4 rooms treated Mo Xiaoting and what gifts they would give him. Secondly, he wanted to prevent the other rooms from talking about Mo Xiaoting. Thirdly, he wanted to see the first elder's health. The first room they went to was naturally the main room, which was the residence of the current master, Mo Xiaoquan. Mo Xiaoquan had reprimanded Mo Xiaoan previously, so he naturally had to lead by example. So, as soon as Mo Xiaoting and Yun Chujiao entered the main house, they felt the warmth of spring. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Fangchao girl is really pretty. I heard that she knows how to do business. What a lovely girl. Quickly come to grandmother Tian and let her have a good look. Mo Xiaoquan's wife, old Madame Tian, said amiably. Yun Chujiao was not shy. She walked up to old Madame Tian and said, Grandmother Tian, I'm embarrassed by your praise. How can I be as good as you say? I am far from being as good as my sisters. My sisters are like the bright moon in the sky, and I am like a pebble on the ground. This little mouth really knows how to speak. This 8 treasures ice silk bracelet is a gift from Grandmother Tian. Come, Grandmother Tian will help you put it on. As old Madame Tian spoke, she put a crystal clear bracelet on Yun Chujia's left wrist. Yun Chujiao thought to herself, old Madame Tian was much more troublesome than old Madame Wang. No wonder she was the wife of the patriarch. After Yun Chujiao thanked her, she said a few more words of flattery. All she said was that old Madame Tian was young. In an instant, the room was filled with laughter and harmony. Seeing the harmonious atmosphere, Mo Xiaoan felt a little uneasy. With this comparison, it seemed like the 5th chamber was not treating Mo Xiaoting and his grandson very warmly. Mo Xiaoan rolled his eyes and said, Big brother, Xiaoting is mainly here to pay his respects to first uncle. Why don't you lead us to first uncle's courtyard? Mo Xiaoquan couldn't help but sneer at Mo Xiaoan's words. He knew why Mo Xiaoan was so determined to pay his respects to first elder. Wasn't it because he wanted to check on first elder's condition? Unfortunately, his wishful thinking was in vain. His father was a divine schemer. He had long guessed that he was going to do this, so he had made ample preparations. He could use this opportunity to intimidate the 5 houses. Of course. Brother Xiaoting, come with me, Mo Xiaoquan said politely. Mo Xiaoan's eyes flashed, and he also raised his leg to follow. Since he was going to greet the great elder, it would not be good for Mo Xiaoquan to chase him away. Yun Chujia's heart skipped a beat. The first elder was the biggest lackey in the Mo family. This was a good opportunity. So, the shameless man said, Grandfather Quan, can I go with you? I've always heard that the first elder is not only talented in spiritual energy, he is also very wise. I would like to listen to his teachings. Mo Xiaoquan's face froze. It was rare to see a girl who could flatter him so naturally. He coughed and said, Of course you can. You can go with us. After Mo Xiaoquan and the others left, the people who stayed behind commented on Mo Xiaoting and Yun Chujiao. Only one girl in a white dress had a cold look in her eyes. This Mo Fangchao looked heartless, but she was actually quite scheming. Did she really think that she would benefit from meeting her great-grandfather? She was really naive. Yun Chujiu followed Mo Xiaoquan and the others and finally arrived outside a courtyard. Yun Chujiu sniffed. The smell of medicinal pills. Could it be that this great elder knew how to refine pills? Mo Zioan's eyes flashed and asked with concern, "Big brother, why is there such a strong smell of medicinal pills here? Is there something wrong with uncle's body?" Mo Xiaoquan glanced at him indifferently, causing Mo Zioan's expression to become embarrassed. Only then did he say, "Father's body is very tough. However, he has been refining a grade 14 blood creation pill recently. Judging from this fragrance, Father has probably succeeded in refining it." This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Mo Xiaoan could not help but feel disappointed when he heard Mo Zioquan's words. He had thought that the first elder's illness was incurable. He had not expected that he would still have the strength to refine pills. He reckoned that he would not die for a while. What an old man! At this moment, a loud shout came from within. "Is that Xiaoting? Come in." Mo Xiaoquan smiled. "It seems that father has already noticed us. Let's go in quickly." Mo Xiaoan was even more disappointed when he heard the great elder's energetic voice. He followed Mo Xiaoquan into the courtyard. Yun Chujiu secretly looked at the great elder's courtyard. The courtyard was very spacious. Other than a small road paved with bluestone, the rest of the place was planted with all kinds of herbs. It seemed that the great elder really knew how to refine pills. A maid opened the door curtain and Mo Xiaoquan and the others entered the study room on the east side. There was no one else in the spacious study room. Everyone couldn't help but wonder, where was the first elder? At this moment, an old man with white hair and a beard walked in from outside the door. His body carried a strong medicinal fragrance. He laughed heartily. "I just successfully refined a batch of blood creation pills and now am seeing Xiaoting again. Today is truly a double celebration." Seeing this, Mo Xiaoting quickly stepped forward and bowed. Yun Chujiu also followed behind Mo Xiaoting and bowed. The first elder waved his hand. "We're all family, there's no need for so much red tape. All of you, get up." Pan de N0VL. Seeing that the first elder was full of energy, Mo Xiaoan felt a chill down his spine. It looked like this old man was going to live for at least another few decades. The fifth wife would not be able to take over for a while. The first elder asked a few questions, but they were all polite questions. Mo Xiaoting replied respectfully. The first elder turned his gaze to Yun Chujiu and said kindly, "Fang Chao may be young, but she is quite smart. I heard that you came up with the idea for the 7 stars lucky card. Thank you, great-grandfather, for your praise. Although I am not good at cultivation, I still have a lot of ideas. Great elder, you still know how to refine pills. I admire alchemists the most in my life. Although I also know how to refine some low-level pills, compared to you, the difference is like heaven and earth. Sigh, it's a pity that I can't be by your side often. Otherwise, I would definitely learn from you." Yun Chujiu sighed and said. "Oh. The little girl also knows how to refine pills. Which level of pills do you know how to refine?" The great elder asked with interest. He was just asking casually. He felt that Yun Chujiu could only refine level 5 or 6 pills. After all, she was a little girl from an inferior continent. "I can refine level 10 pills, but the quality is not particularly good. I can only guarantee an 80% success rate. Half of them will be high grade." Yun Chujiu said with a smile. This fellow felt that this level was just right. It wasn't too eye-catching, but it also showed a certain talent in alchemy. It should be enough for fishing. As expected, everyone was shocked, especially Mo Xiaoting. He had no idea that his granddaughter, apart from her business talent, could also refine pills. And she was able to refine level 10 pills at such a young age. Even on the eastern continent, such talent was considered pretty good. However, the great elder and the others felt that Yun Chujio was bragging. In particular, the great elder originally had a good impression of Yun Chujio because the words that Yun Chujio said at the wedding banquet had already reached his ears. He felt that this little girl was eloquent and had an optimistic and tenacious character. He did not expect that she would actually brag now. She was really useless. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. The first elder's face darkened. Feng Chao, although being competitive is a good thing, honesty is the most important thing. Lying is not something a good kid should do. Mo Xiaoquan chimed in, that's right, Feng Chao, how can you refine a level 10 pill at such a young age? Not to mention you, even some alchemists on the eastern continent couldn't do it, let alone an 80% success rate and half a high-quality pill. Hearing this, Mo Xiaoting also felt that Yun Chujio was messing around. His face darkened. Feng Chao, stop messing around. Hurry up and apologize. Yun Chujio had an innocent look, I really know how to refine level 10 pills. If you don't believe me, I will refine a batch of level 10 pills for you. Mo Xiaoting was about to reprimand Yun Chujio when the first elder said, alright, since Feng Chao said that she really knows how to refine level 10 pills, then let's refine a level 10 Yuan Ling pill. Mo Xiaoting glared at Yun Chujio. It was hard to stop now. If the refinement of the grass did not succeed, the first elder would definitely scold her. This little girl was really being ridiculous. The first elder brought a few people to the alchemy room on the west side. There was a specially purchased earth fire inside that could be used to refine pills as soon as the switch was turned on. Yun Chujio felt that the design of this earth fire was much more advanced than that of the Tian Yuan continent. She randomly took out a clean alchemy furnace from her storage ring and placed it on top of the earth fire. This alchemy furnace was prepared by Yun Chujio for the heaven and earth heaven and earth heaven and earth heaven and earth heaven furnace, so she did not recognize it as her master. If she did not recognize it as her master, she would not be able to refine pills. So, she bit her index finger and began to refine the alchemy furnace. Mo Xiaoting felt a headache coming on. How could an alchemist not have a dedicated alchemy furnace? This person was amazing. She actually refined it on the spot. One look and it was obvious that she was unreliable. If the first elder were to blame her later, it could only be said that she was too young and immature. This herb was really troublesome. The first elder and the other two had the same thoughts as Mo Xiaoting. Which alchemist didn't have their own furnace? This little girl was indeed bragging. Yun Chujio thought back to the method of refining the origin spirit pill. She wanted to hide her weakness, so she did not adjust the amount of herbs as she usually did. Instead, she began to refine the pill step by step. The first elder was an expert. Seeing that Yun Chujio's portion and steps were correct, he felt a little relieved. Perhaps this little girl really knew how to refine pills. While Yun Chujio was refining, although she did not add any medicinal herbs, her spiritual sense had been observing the changes of the medicinal herbs in the pill refining furnace. Suddenly, Yun Chujio frowned slightly. The great elder and the others saw it and guessed in their hearts that this little girl had probably forgotten some of the steps. Although she looked decent, she still lacked maturity. How could they know that Yun Chujio was not worried about the failure of the pill at this moment? Instead, she realized that the purity of the medicinal herbs provided by the great elder was too good, so the pill success rate might reach 90%, and they were all high-grade. This was not in line with this fellow's intention to hide his true strength. What should she do? Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and suddenly opened the pill refining furnace's lid. Then, she picked up a section of fallen petals vine and threw it into the pill refining furnace. The great elder was so angry that his white beard was trembling. Nonsense! Nonsense! The biggest taboo in alchemy is to open the lid of the alchemy furnace halfway. Your alchemy furnace will be ruined for sure. What you did before was clearly right, but you just had to make things worse. How infuriating. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Although Mo Xiaoquan and Mo Xiaoan didn't know how to refine pills, they knew that they couldn't open the lid during the process. They shook their heads. This Feng Chao didn't even know about the taboo of pill refinement, yet she was still bragging about how she knew how to refine pills. How ridiculous. Mo Xiaoting's forehead was covered in sweat. The first elder was the actual person in charge of the Mo family. If Feng Chao caused such a ruckus, it would definitely upset him. They might even expel them back to the Western continent. Feng Chao was such a bad person. Yun Chuzhou did not seem to notice the reaction of the crowd. She smiled. First elder, my alchemy is different from others. Every time I make a pill, I add some herbs into it. I don't know if it's because of my mental state, but after doing this, I feel more confident that I can successfully refine a pill every time. Everyone's faces froze. Was this a joke? Mental state? This was pure nonsense. Pan DN0 Vel. Calm. If it wasn't for the fact that there were other people present, Mo Xiaoting would have scolded Yun Chuzhou. He could ignore other things, but if he were to cause trouble in front of First Elder, wouldn't he be looking for trouble? He really shouldn't have let her follow him. However, Mo Xiaoting noticed that the fragrance of a pill began to spread from the furnace. Could it be that he had successfully refined a pill? Mo Xiaoting shook his head again. It was probably because the herbs had already been refined into a medicinal liquid that the fragrance was present. Even if the pill was successfully refined, it would be lucky if there were 2 or 3 completed pills. Mo Xiaoting felt a little relieved. No matter what, it wasn't too embarrassing that the herb girl did not blow up the furnace. The 3 elders shared the same thoughts as Mo Xiaoting. Although there was a difference between what she said and what she said, it was still okay. At least she didn't mess up or blow up the furnace. A moment later, Yun Chuzhou said with a smile, it's a success. I told you, as long as I add some herbs into it, I will definitely succeed. Mo Xiaoting couldn't hold it in any longer. Enough. You should change your reckless attitude. Uncle, Feng Chao is still young and doesn't know what she's talking about. Don't mind her. The first elder nodded. It's okay for young people to be arrogant. But, Feng Chao, your alchemy skills are quite good. It's just that you need to change your habit of adding herbs into it. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to succeed. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes. Great old master, what you said makes sense. I just lack the guidance of a master like you. Otherwise, I would have thought that this strange habit would be beneficial to my alchemy. The great elder saw that Yun Chuzhou was humbly accepting the criticism and his impression of her changed slightly. Then, he said, it's great that you know your mistakes and can improve. When you go back, you can ask Xiao Ting to help you hire an alchemy master. Who knows, you might have some achievements in the future. Although the great elder's words were vague, everyone present could hear the hidden meaning. It was a clear rejection of Yun Chuzhou's intention to learn alchemy from him. However, this was also within everyone's expectations. Not to mention that Yun Chuzhou did not have an 80% success rate in refining pills. Even if she had achieved it, the possibility of the great elder personally guiding her was very slim. First of all, the great elder's identity was still there. How could he carefully teach a junior who was about to produce 5 servings of pills? What did these juniors of the family think? Second, the great elder was already very old. How could he have the time and energy to teach people how to refine pills? At this moment, Yun Chuzhou said clearly, Great elder, what you said makes sense. I have learned. However, shouldn't we see if I succeeded in refining the pills? This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Hearing this, Mo shouting glared at Yun Chujio. The reason why no one had checked the furnace was to save her some face. After all, she was just a little girl and they were afraid that she would be embarrassed. Who would have thought that she would take the initiative to bring it up? If that's the case, then open the lid of the furnace. The first elder shook his head. The little girl was still too young and impetuous. She wouldn't give up until she hit a wall. Yun Chujio opened the lid of the alchemy furnace with a smile. Then, her small face twitched and she sighed. Sigh, the great master is right. I still need some time. The great elder and the others were standing some distance away from the operating table, so they didn't see the situation inside the alchemy furnace. Hearing Yun Chujio's words, they understood in their hearts that the pill success rate was probably less than 30%. Fong Chao, you are still young. It's already good enough that you were able to refine a primordial spirit pill. Don't be discouraged. Keep up the good work in the future, Mo Xiaoquan said amiably. That's right. After all, a primordial spirit pill is a level 10 pill. Even if you were able to refine one successfully, it would still be amazing. Mo Xiaoan comforted Yun Chujio even though he was secretly gloating. Mo shouting glared at Yun Chujio, do you know how high the heavens are now? You even bragged about an 80% success rate. But, what happened? In the past, grandfather warned you not to be arrogant. But, you are showing off in front of your uncle. When you return home, you should reflect on yourself. The reason why Mo shouting said this was to shut the first elder's mouth so that he wouldn't take the opportunity to punish Yun Chujio. The first elder naturally understood what Mo shouting meant and smiled indifferently. He was already so old, so he didn't want to argue with a little girl. However, he originally wanted to test out this Mo Fongchao. But now, it seemed there was no need. Grandfather, everything you said is correct, but, I refined 8 original spirit pills. I'm just a little regretful. Only 4 of them are high-grade pills. I originally thought that there would be 6 high-grade pills this time. Yun Chujio said with a regretful expression. Everyone rushed to the front of the alchemy furnace in one go. They saw that other than the residue of some medicinal herbs at the bottom of the alchemy furnace, there were 8 round pills. 4 of them were clearly high-grade pills with a round luster, the other 4 were slightly lacking in luster and were middle grade. Everyone was stunned. It was actually successfully refined. How was this possible? Didn't they say that it was a big taboo to open the lid of the alchemy furnace halfway? Moreover, the little girl had added a section of fallen petals vine into it. How was it possible for it to reach an 80% pill refinement rate? And it was even of such high quality. After everyone recovered from their shock, they felt a little embarrassed. After all, each and every one of them had been acting like garlic for half a day just now, but now they were slapped in the face. The first elder coughed twice. Fong Chao girl, refine another batch of level 10 bone grafting pills. Yun Chujio nodded. After washing the pill refining furnace, she began to refine the bone grafting pills step by step. This fellow had gained experience this time, so he didn't need to adjust it halfway. Directly at the beginning of the refinement, she deliberately increased the temperature a little. This way, the pill success rate and the quality of the pill would be reduced. Everyone smelled a burnt smell. A thought flashed through their minds at the same time. It seemed that this little girl had hit the nail on the head. A blind cat met a dead rat. This time, her true colors were revealed. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Mo shouting comforted himself. No matter what, he had done it just now. So what if he did it this time? It wasn't too embarrassing. Mo Xiaoquan and Mo Xiaoan relaxed a little. Both Mo Xiaoquan and Mo Xiaoan did not want Yun Chujio to really enter the first elder's eyes. The reason was obvious. If the first elder really personally taught Yun Chujio how to refine pills, what would the others think? That would make the younger generation of the family appear to be too useless and incompetent. The first elder did not have many thoughts. He only wanted to verify whether Yun Chujio had the talent to refine pills. As for whether or not he wanted to teach her how to refine pills, that was not something he had to consider now. After 15 minutes, the medicinal fragrance began to spread out from the pill furnace, covering up the burning smell at the beginning. Everyone was puzzled. It was clearly the burning smell from before. How could the medicinal fragrance still come out? After a while, Yun Chujio finished the pill refinement. She sighed and said, "I did not control the fire well before. I reckon that the pill's success rate and quality won't be too good." Fong Chao girl, open the lid of the pill refining furnace first. The great elder had learned his lesson this time. It was better not to make a conclusion for now. If he was slapped in the face again, there would be no place to put his old face. Yun Chujio nodded and obediently opened the lid of the pill refining furnace. Then, she heard a few gasps. How is this possible? Didn't you just refine it into paste? Why is there still an 80% success rate? Moreover, there are 3 high-grade pills. Mo Xiaoan asked in disbelief. Not to mention him, even the great elder was puzzled. According to common sense, if the fire was not properly controlled at the beginning, then it would be pretty good if this cauldron of pills could achieve a 60% success rate, not to mention such a high-grade pill. How did this little girl do it? The great elder directly asked the question. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Great elder, what you said is too profound. I don't really understand. I refined it based on intuition. The great elder's heart shook. Intuition? Could it be that this little girl was born to be an alchemist? Speaking of which, if it wasn't for her great talent in alchemy, a little girl from a low-level continent like her would never be able to reach the level of a 10th-rank alchemist no matter what. Although many thoughts surged in the great elder's heart for a moment, there was no change on his face. He praised, "It seems that Fong Chao isn't bluffing. She is indeed a level 10 alchemist. As expected of our Mo clan's blood and bone. Tianzi is indeed extraordinary." The great elder's heart moved when he said this. Tianzi. This little girl heard that she had a heavenly thunder spirit root. That was right. It was probably because she had a heavenly thunder spirit root that she had a certain talent in alchemy. Pan Dn0 Vel. Calm however, when he remembered that Yun Chujio had a heavenly thunder spirit root, the grand elder's thoughts became a little more complicated. The heavenly thunder spirit root was something that the Tian Dao could not tolerate. Sooner or later, it would be wiped out by the Tian Dao. What a pity. Yun Chujio humbly said a few words. She tactfully did not mention the words of letting the grand elder teach her alchemy. There were some things that could not be rushed. Take your time. There was no rush. The great elder encouraged Yun Chujio a few more words, then, for the first time, he took out an alchemy furnace and said to Yun Chujio, "Fong Chao girl, I saw that the alchemy furnace you used just now was too low grade. This Taotai pattern alchemy furnace was used by me in the past. You can take it and use it." "Thank you, great master. This is really great. In the future, when I see an alchemy furnace, it will be as if I heard your teachings with my own ears. I will definitely continue to work hard," Yun Chujio said with a face full of gratitude. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. The corners of Mo Xiaoting's eyes twitched. Fuck, isn't your flattery a little too obvious? But, to his surprise, the first elder seemed to be enjoying it. He laughed, "You little girl, you sure have a sweet mouth. Go back and train hard." Yun Chujio nodded obediently and did not continue to flatter him. After all, flattery was a skill and flattery was bad for the legs, so it was more or less enough. Everyone returned to the study room and exchanged a few pleasantries. The first elder picked up his teacup and everyone tactfully stood up to leave. Mo Xiaoquan originally wanted to keep Mo Xiaoting for lunch, but seeing that Mo Xiaoting insisted on leaving, he had no choice but to escort the three of them out of the mansion. Mo Xiaoquan turned around and returned to the first elder's courtyard. At this time, the first elder was hunched and looked completely different from before. "Xiaoquan, have they all left?" Mo Xiaoquan nodded, then asked worriedly, "Father, are you all right? You shouldn't have taken that tiger and wolf medicine. They'll just find an excuse to prevent them from coming to see you." "Sigh, my body can't hold on for much longer anyway. The fifth elder is eyeing me like a tiger, and those few aren't well behaved either. If I don't show up, they'll definitely come over to probe me endlessly. Others may think that the great patriarch of the Mo family is very impressive, but in reality, Lang Nuan knows his own limits. When a disaster strikes, it is the beginning of the destruction of a family. We absolutely cannot allow such a situation to happen. When the day comes when I am about to fail, I will bring those 4 troublemakers along with me. I will not leave any trouble for you." Although Mo Xiaoquan's heart was relieved, he felt a slight chill on his back. His expression was naturally a little unnatural. Pan Dan 0 Vel. C0M. The great elder was well versed in the ways of the world and naturally understood what he was thinking. He snorted coldly, "Do you think that I am too ruthless and merciless? Humph. You are good in every way, but you are too indecisive. Yes, I admit that it is indeed a little too ruthless to kill them all. However, as long as I am dead, if the 4 of them are still alive, they will definitely force you to give up the position of family head. When that time comes, the Mo family will be in a bloodbath. When that time comes, it won't be a matter of 4 people dying. It's very likely that the Mo family will be replaced by someone and uprooted." Mo Xiaoquan's face revealed a look of shame. "Father, your son has realized his mistake. In the end, it's still because your son's ability isn't enough. There's no way to convince the other 4 chambers and make you worry." The great elder sighed. "I've seen your hard work. It's just that with your character, your progress is limited. Yonghui and Jun Kun are also more than capable. If they don't develop enough, they might not be as good as you in the future. Therefore, I have to settle those 4 troublemakers. Otherwise, you won't be able to deal with them in the future." Mo Xiaoquan's face was filled with shame when he heard the great elder's words. He knew that what the great elder said was the truth. Once the great elder died, the other 4 branches would have the support of the elders in the family to force them out of the palace. At that time, the Mo family would definitely fall into chaos. The father and son were silent for a moment. Mo Xiaoquan had nothing to say and wanted to find something to talk about. He wanted to adjust the atmosphere and asked, "Father, what do you think of Xiao Ting and Fang Chao girl?" Xiao Ting people are very shrewd, but their horizons are limited. As for that Fang Chao girl, she has somewhat exceeded my expectations. According to the information you gathered, the matter of the meeting gift was probably designed by this little girl alone. In addition to the words she said at the wedding banquet, this little girl is very intelligent and is quite scheming, the first elder said thoughtfully. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. "Father, could she be the one who planned the meeting gift? It can't be, right? Where did a little girl like her get the guts? If Xiaoan knew about it, he would definitely not let her off easily." Mo Xiaoquan said in disapproval. The first elder could not help but sigh. "Look, even when I said that it was her who did it, you didn't believe it. Do you think Xiaoan would think that it was her who did it? This little girl is bold and careful. If it was a boy, we could really nurture him. Unfortunately, it's a girl, and she has a heavenly thunder spirit root. We can only give up. Father, even if the meeting gift was designed by her, it's just a small trick. How is it worthy of your praise? If the meeting gift is a small trick, then what she said at Junkin's wedding banquet shows that this little girl has a world within her. Moreover, she also has the talent of alchemy and business. She is really a good seedling. Unfortunately, she is not a boy and she has the heavenly thunder spirit root that the heavenly Tao does not allow. The great elder shook his head regretfully. However, Mo Xiaoquan felt that the great elder was exaggerating a little. She is just a slightly smarter little girl. She is not as amazing as the great elder said. Fortunately, she is a little girl, otherwise, she might even threaten Jun Kun's position. Yun Chujiu, who was being discussed by the two, had just returned to the fifth house of the Mo family. She was going to visit the second house of the Mo family after lunch. Mo Xiaoting was naturally happy. He never thought that Feng Chao would actually know how to refine pills. To be able to refine level 10 pills at such a young age was definitely one of the best in the Western continent. After returning home, he was going to train her well. Perhaps, the Mo family would produce a high-level alchemist in the future. Although Mo Xiaoan did not show it on his face, he was feeling depressed. He originally thought that the first elder was about to die, but he did not expect him to be so energetic and disappointed. Mo Xiaoan took the time to meet with the fifth elder and explained the situation to him. The fifth elder was also disappointed, but there was nothing he could do. He couldn't possibly send someone to kill the first elder, right? Besides, he couldn't kill the first elder even if he wanted to. Not only did the first elder have a high level of spiritual energy, but the building was also heavily guarded. There was no chance for him to make a move. In the afternoon, Mo Xiaoan wasn't in the mood to accompany Mo Xiaoting to the second branch. So, he asked his eldest son, Mo Yongfei, to accompany him. Yun Chujiu couldn't help but wonder why the Mo family had rules when it came to names. For example, Mo Xiaoquan, Mo Xiaoting, Mo Fengjiao, and Mo Fengqin. Why didn't Mo Cheng use the word Yong in their names? This guy couldn't take it anymore. Before Mo Yongfei arrived, he had already asked his question. Mo Xiaoting's expression was a little unnatural as he explained the situation briefly. It turned out, when Mo Xiaoting's father was still alive, there was a period when he didn't get along well with the Mo family. But, the Mo family was too powerful, so he didn't dare to do anything. So, when he gave his three grandsons names, he erased the word Yong. In reality, this was a form of self-deception. The family tree had the word Yong on it. On the side of the family, there was Mo Yongpeng, Mo Yongcheng, and Mo Yongchang. The corner of Yun Chujia's eyes twitched. This great-grandfather was indeed interesting. Unfortunately, he died early and wasn't fated to meet. After a while, Mo Yongfei arrived. His attitude was quite good. It was likely that Mo Xiaoan had instructed him. Soon, the three of them arrived at the Mo family's second son. Although the Mo family's second son had a good attitude, he wasn't as warm as the eldest son. Even when Mo Xiaoting asked to meet the second elder, Mo Xiaofu found an excuse to reject him. They had already given him their gifts, which were almost the same as the fifth son's. Yun Chujiu had also made a small fortune, so she was in a good mood. Some people couldn't bear to see Yun Chujiu in a good mood. While everyone was drinking tea and chatting, Mo Fengzhu smiled and said, "Sister Fengchao, what you said at the wedding banquet really touched me deeply. I think you are also a talented person. Qin, Qi, calligraphy, and painting. I wonder if sister is good at them or what kind. Why don't you show us what you're good at? It'll be an eye-opener for my sister." Mo Fengzhu said this because she knew a lot about these things. She had been humiliated by Yun Chujiu at the wedding banquet and wanted to get back at her. Moreover, she felt that Yun Chujiu's personality was too impetuous and didn't seem to be talented. What she said before was just a blind cat hitting a dead mouse. Hearing Mo Fang's question, everyone's attention turned to Yun Chujio. Mo shouting furrowed his brows. The little girl's handwriting was like a dog's crawl, he had never heard her play the zither before. Moreover, with her personality, playing chess was even worse. Unless she was drawing, it wasn't going to be easy. Mo Fangzhu looked at Mo Xiaoting's expression and felt even more confident. It looked like Mo Fangzhu was an ignorant idiot. Yun Chujio smiled, Sister Fangzhu, I know everything about zither, chess, calligraphy and painting, but this doesn't reflect my talent. How about this? If I write a word, you will definitely mispronounce it. Sister Fangzhu, you must be joking. Although I'm not talented, I still know all the words. Mo Fangzhu was so angry that she was about to laugh. She had started reading at the age of 3, how could there be words that she did not know? Since that's the case, shall we make a bet? If you mispronounce the words that I wrote, Sister Fangzhu will lose 100,000 high-grade spirit stones to me. If you don't mispronounce the words, then I will lose 100,000 high-grade spirit stones to you. Sister Fangzhu, do you dare to make a bet with me? Yun Chujio said with a slightly provocative tone, since she had nothing to do, torturing the white lotus flower to pass the time was not a bad idea. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Mo Fangzhu certainly would not admit defeat. Alright, it's a deal. You can write it. However, we can agree that it can't be ancient characters or foreign characters. Of course. Immediately, a servant carried a small square table and prepared a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone. Yun Chujio walked up to her, picked up a pen, and scribbled a word. When Mo Fangzhu saw that word, she almost fainted from anger. You're cheating. What you wrote was wrong, of course, no matter how I read it, it was wrong. Mo Fangzhu almost shouted out. Only now did she understand that Yun Chujio was playing a trick on her. Yun Chujio said with an aggrieved expression, Sister Fangzhu, I was just making a harmless joke. Why are you so anxious? In that case, I don't want your 100,000 high-grade spirit stones anymore. Just pretend that I didn't say anything. Mo Fangzhu's face flushed red. Yun Chujio's words made her seem like she was too narrow-minded to make a joke, and she was even more reluctant to part with 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. She gritted her teeth in anger and said, Humph. Although you won by means, I'm willing to admit defeat. Isn't it just 100,000 high-grade spirit stones? What's so great about it? Yun Chujio naturally would not push the spirit stones that were delivered to her door out. She smiled and said, since Sister Fangzhu insists on giving it to me, then I'll shamelessly accept it. Thank you, Sister Fangzhu. Mo Fangzhu glared at her. She wasn't in the mood to let Yun Chujio perform any zither, chess, calligraphy, or painting. She wanted to strangle her on the spot. With this incident, the atmosphere in the room became even more awkward. Mo Xiaoting felt like he was sitting on pins and needles as he quickly stood up and left. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. After returning to room 5, Mo Xiaoting called Yun Chujio into the study room in his courtyard and closed the door. He lowered his voice and said, Fang Chao, why did you offend Fang Zhu of the second wife? Although only room 5 has business relations with us, it's not good to upset the second wife. Grandfather, Mo Fangzhu doesn't like me to begin with. She was the one who instigated Mo Fangjiao to target me at the wedding banquet. If I wasn't smart, Mo Fangjiao might have beaten me up. Besides, grandfather, do you think that even if we fawn over the other branches, they will treat us like human beings? Yun Chujio sneered. Although Mo Xiaoting did not think that Yun Chujio's words were nice, he had to admit that Yun Chujio's words made sense. Even after the incident with the gifts had passed, the attitude of the family had improved, however, the disdain and contempt in his eyes were not hidden at all. His heart was filled with anxiety. Fang Chao, even if what you said makes sense, what can we do? Our small arms can't beat our thighs. Let's just hold on for a while longer and go back, Mo shouting sighed. No, grandfather, we now have a chance. A great opportunity to let the Mo family return to the eastern continent. Yun Chujia's eyes flashed with a bright light. Mo shouting was pleasantly surprised. Feng Chao, aren't you trying to coax grandfather? Is there really a way for the Mo family to return to the eastern continent? Yun Chujio nodded and peeked through the door. Chun Xiao was following her instructions and was talking to the two maids in the courtyard. She then lowered her voice and said, Grandfather, if everything goes according to plan, it will be extremely difficult for the Mo family to return to the eastern continent. Firstly, the Mo family doesn't like us, and secondly, they want us to work for them in the western continent. So, they won't allow us to join their family. So, we can only take a risk and take a gamble. Mo shouting nodded his head. Yun Chujia's words made sense. He could tell that the Mo family had no intention of letting them join their family. Feng Chao, what's the solution? Don't keep us guessing. Yun Chujio did not answer, but instead asked, Grandfather, why do you think Mo Xiaoan followed us to the main house? Why didn't he accompany us to the second house in the afternoon? Mo shouting was stunned. Didn't he say that he had something to deal with in the afternoon? PANDNOVL Yun Chujio smiled. Grandfather, do you believe him? This is just an excuse. Haven't you noticed that Mo Xiaoan has been preoccupied ever since he returned from the main house? Mo shouting did not pay much attention at first, but after hearing what Yun Chujio said, he thought about it and realized that it was true. When he left, Mo Xiaoan was still talking and laughing, but when he returned, he was obviously much quieter. After hearing what you said, it's true. But, what does this have to do with us? Did we upset him in some way? Mo shouting still did not understand what Yun Chujio was trying to say. Grandfather, if you look closely, you will realize that Mo Zioan's mood was bad the moment he saw the first elder. What do you think this is about? Mo shouting was stunned for a moment before his mouth fell open. He was a wily old fox, so he was well aware of the power struggle between families. He then recalled that Mo Xiaoan had once asked Mo Xiaoquan if there was something wrong with the first elder's body and immediately understood. Are you saying that Mo Xiaoan was disappointed when he found out that there was nothing wrong with the first elder's body? This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Grandfather, you are right. Mo Xiaoan must have been disappointed because the first elder's health is fine. The only reason he accompanied us to the main room was to find out about the first elder's health. The reason why Yun Chujio did not say it out loud and let Mo shouting make his own guess was to make him more convinced. Mo shouting sighed, I didn't expect my family to be involved in this mess. But, what does this have to do with us returning to the East Continent? Grandfather, it's because of this mess that we have the chance to fish in troubled waters. Yun Chujio said with a smile. The reason she had made this guess was because she had noticed the change in Mo Zioan's expression, but more importantly, when she saw the great elder, Guai Chao was restless and expressed that he wanted to eat something good. After Yun Chujio suppressed the Guai Chao, she came back and asked what the Guai Chao smelled. After a few guesses, she finally confirmed that the great elder had taken a pill that could stimulate the Bodhi's potential in a short period of time. This kind of pill could be said to do more harm than good. For example, if one could originally live for 10 years, after taking this pill, they would probably have 7 to 8 years to live. Since the great elder had put in so much effort, it meant that he was extremely wary of Mo Xiaoan. It also indirectly meant that the conflict between the two families had worsened for nothing. Taking advantage of the situation. What do you want to do? Mo shouting was a little uneasy and excited. In short, his emotions were complicated. Grandfather, we can forget about the fifth branch. We have fed them so much, yet they still treat us so slowly. Even if the second branch isn't good on the surface, it's not a big deal. Although the third and fourth branches haven't gone yet, they're probably the same as the second branch. They're not of much use. Our best choice is to hook up with the big branch. We have money, they have power. It's a great combination. Hook up. Mo Shouting was no longer in the mood to argue about Yun Chujia's choice of words. He said disapprovingly, "That's easy for you to say. The big house is a legitimate branch of the family. Why would they take a fancy to us? Mo Shaoquan may be nice to us on the surface, but that's only on the surface. Mo Shaoquan is obviously not a good candidate. That person is too conservative and doesn't have the ability to do great things. The person we want to hook up with is the first elder, the actual person in charge of the family." Yun Chujia's eyes flashed with cunningness. First elder. Fong Chao, you don't think that because you have obtained a pill furnace today, you think that the first elder will look at you differently, do you? You are too naive. Mo Shouting shook his head. Fong Chao was still too young and naive. Yun Chujio giggled, "Grandfather, I am not that stupid. We need to take things slowly. If we can't meet once, then we will meet twice. If we can't meet twice, then we will meet 3 times. If we can't meet 3 times, then we will meet every day. PANDNOVL, you just need to do as I say. Don't worry. Even if I can't hook up with the first elder, nothing will happen. The people in the 5th house simply think that I want to turn from a sparrow into a phoenix." Mo Shouting still felt that this matter was too mysterious. He sighed, "Fong Chao, even if what you say is true, will the first elder see you?" Yun Chujio curled her lips, "Grandfather, trust me. Others may not be able to see the first elder, but I will. Every time I go, he will see me." Mo Shouting felt that Yun Chujio had a fever. Not to mention her, even the 5th elder did not dare to say such words. How could he meet the first elder at will? This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Mo Shouting glared at Yun Chujio. "Fong Chao, how can you meet the great elder just because you want to? Although everything you've said is correct, this path is not feasible. Grandfather, why don't we make a bet? After breakfast the day after tomorrow, you can bring me to the main room. I promise that the great elder will meet me," Yun Chujio said with a smile. Mo Shouting noticed that Yun Chujio sounded very confident. In addition, the temptation of returning to the East Continent was too great, so, he gritted his teeth, "All right, if you can't see the first elder the day after tomorrow, then you should behave yourself from now on. Don't cause any more trouble." After Yun Chujio nodded in agreement, the grandfather and grandson chatted as they ate. In the afternoon, Mo Yongfei accompanied them to the 3rd branch of the Mo family. Just as Yun Chujio expected, the 3rd branch treated Mo Shouting and Yun Chujio in the same way as the 2nd branch. The two of them did not see the 3rd elder either. As Mo Shouting and Yun Chujio bade farewell, Mo Shaogui only asked them to stay for a short while. His attitude was very perfunctory. The next morning, the grandfather and grandson were treated the same way in the 4th branch of the Mo family. They did not see the 4th elder either. After chatting for a while, they left and returned to the 5th branch of the Mo family. Pan Dan 0 Vel. C0M. When no one was around, Yun Chujio whispered, "Grandfather, I'm a smart girl. Otherwise, these stingy people would not give us a single cent. We've suffered a huge loss." Mo Shouting was naturally uncomfortable being treated so slowly. He was even more concerned about Yun Chujio's plan. "Fong Cao, will you really see the first elder tomorrow?" "Grandfather, don't worry. Which of the things I promised you haven't been fulfilled? However, when we arrive at the main room tomorrow, you will have to listen to some sarcasm and receive a few looks of disdain. You have to bear with it." Yun Chujio blinked. Although Mo Shouting was a sly old fox, they had common interests and they needed to maintain a good relationship. "That's not a big deal. But, grandfather still feels that the first elder might not be willing to see you. If the first elder doesn't see you, don't mess around. Do you hear me? Mo Xiaoting warned worriedly. This Feng Chao was fearless. There was no way to predict what she would do in the next moment. After Yun Chujio made her promise, she left Mo Xiaoting's courtyard and returned to her new moon pavilion. As soon as she entered the courtyard, she heard Mo Fengjiao say impatiently, Mo Fengjiao, where have you been? Why have you only just returned? Yun Chujio was dumbfounded. Was Mo Fengjiao crazy? What the hell did she have to do with where I went? Was she addicted to my insults? Although she was complaining in her heart, her face was full of smiles as she said, Sister Fengjiao, why are you so free today? Why are you looking for me? Mo Fengjiao glared at her and asked, I heard that you fooled Mo Fengju yesterday. Yun Chujio shook her head. Sister Fengjiao, how would I have the guts to fool Sister Fengju? I was just joking with her, but she got angry. Mo Fengjiao showed a gloating look on her face. Others have praised her for her good looks, wisdom, demure, but she was only a so-so. She was actually fooled by you. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and did not say anything. It seemed that not only did the older generation of this family fight fiercely, even Mo Fengjiao and the others did not get along with each other on the surface. The corners of this fellow's mouth curled up. Good, very good. This baby loves such chaotic situations the most. It's really fun. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Mo Fengjiao asked Yun Chujio some more details, and Yun Chujio told her everything she knew. She imitated Mo Feng's expression and language perfectly. Mo Fengjiao laughed until her flowers trembled, feeling very relieved. Mo Fengjiao, I didn't expect you to be so capable. Seeing that you made me so happy today, I'll give you a favor. Let me tell you, among the girls in the Mo family, you shouldn't provoke Sister Fengbing. Otherwise, you'll die a horrible death. Mo Fengjiao pouted. Sister Fengjiao, why don't I understand? I met Sister Fengbing when I went to visit her in the big room. Although she looked a little cold, she looked okay. Why did you say that she's hard to provoke? Yun Chujia's eyes flashed. She did not think that Mo Fengjiao would be so kind. Humph. You are indeed ignorant. Not only does Sister Fengbing have a high spiritual power, but her maternal family is a second-class family. Although her mother is the daughter of a concubine, she is also much taller than others. Therefore, Sister Fengbing looks like a fairy who does not live in the mortal world. In fact, she has never put us cousins in her eyes. Sister Fengbing heard Feng Qiao, who used to be in the fourth room, say a few nasty words to her. Sister Fengbing directly slapped her twice, and even threatened that if she heard it again, she would make Feng Qiao unable to speak. Mo Fengjiao, I heard that the great elder gave you an alchemy furnace. Sister Fengbing must be very uncomfortable and might find trouble with you. So you'd better not go to the great room in the future. If you go, Sister Fengbing might break your leg. Mo Fengjiao said in disdain, her words were full of provocation. Yun Chujio secretly curled her lips. She felt that Mo Fengjiao was exaggerating. Mo Fengbing's mother was only a concubine daughter of a second-class family. What kind of extraordinary means could she have? If she was really so favored, the great elder would not choose to use the medicine of tigers and wolves to intimidate the other four chambers. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and understood Mo Fengjiao's intentions. Mo Fengjiao probably thought that she was a fool. Since she dared to tease Mo Fengju of the second branch, she might be persuaded by her and cause trouble for Mo Fengbing. She wondered if Mo Fengjiao was crazy. Did she think that everyone else was a fool? Of course, there was another possibility. Mo Xiaoan had instructed Mo Fengjiao to say this. The purpose was obvious. It was to make Guangshunzi stay away from the main branch and firmly control Guangshunzi in the hands of the fifth branch. Sister Fangjiao, thank you for your reminder. However, I feel that Sister Fangbing should be reasonable and won't target me for no reason. If she is really that unreasonable, Grandfather Xiaoquan won't let her off. It just so happens that I have nothing to do tomorrow, so I'll let Grandfather bring me to the big house to visit again. I'd like to see if Sister Fangbing will target me. Yun Chuzhou said somewhat unwillingly. HMPH, since you don't listen to my advice, don't blame me if something happens in the future. Mo Fangjiu's eyes flashed with a hint of pride. This country bumpkin was indeed fooled. It would be better if she fought with Mo Fangbing. No matter who was the one who suffered the loss, it would be a relief. Yun Chuzhou caught a glimpse of Mo Fangjiu's expression and knew that it was the first possibility that she guessed. It was not Mo Zioan's instructions. This was also good. If this was the case, she would have an excuse to go to the main room tomorrow to avoid Mo Zioan's suspicion. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Mo Fangjiao rambled on and on. The main content was that Mo Fangbing was not to be trifled with and she advised Yun Chuzhou not to seek humiliation. However, instead of persuading her, it was better to say that she was provoking her. When Mo Fangjiao saw that Yun Chuzhou could not wait to go and fight with Mo Fangbing, she was very pleased. HMPH, she was just a country bumpkin. The last time at the wedding banquet, she had been careless. Otherwise, this country bumpkin wouldn't have been able to make her suffer. After a while, Mo Fangjiao left the New Moon Pavilion satisfied. Yun Chuzhou looked at Mo Fangjiao's back and smiled. It was not bad to have such a smart-ass assistant. The next day, after breakfast, Mo Xiaoting sent a maid to inform Mo Xiaoan that Yun Chuzhou did not know much about alchemy, so he wanted to bring Yun Chuzhou to meet the first elder. Coincidentally, Mo Fangjiao came to pay her respects to Mo Xiaoan and old Madame Wang. Mo Fangjiao told Mo Xiaoan about what happened last night. Grandfather, I don't think Mo Fangjiao is going to meet the first elder. After all, the first elder can't possibly meet her. She must have been urged by me to find trouble with Sister Fangbing and lied to her grandfather to ask him about the pills. Mo Xiaoan stroked his beard. He felt that Mo Fangjiu's words made sense. How could he meet the great elder so easily? Mo Xiaoting was too easy to fool. He had actually been fooled by that little girl Mo Fangjiao. But, it didn't matter if they ran into a snag. That way, they would be even more loyal to their fifth wife. If Mo Fangjiao and Mo Fangbing were to fight, that would be even better. Mo Xiaoquan had previously said that he was going to teach him a lesson. Let's see how he would have the face to lecture others this time. Fangjiao, you've done well. You've really improved, Mo Xiaoan praised. Mo Fangjiu's face turned red as she said a few words of modesty in embarrassment. However, her heart was bursting with joy. This country bumpkin had brought her a lot of benefits. Meanwhile, Mo Xiaoting and Yun Chuzhou had already arrived outside the Mo family's main house. Since they had already been here once, the grandfather and grandson did not need someone from the fifth house to lead the way. Instead, they walked straight to the front door of the Mo family's house. The guards from the main house had seen Mo Xiaoting and Yun Chuzhou before, so they were quite polite. After bowing, they went in to report. Mo Xiaoquan couldn't help but frown when he heard the guard's report. What was Guang Xuanji doing here again? Was it because he didn't eat last time that he wanted to make up for it this time? Mo Xiaoquan pursed his lips. He was indeed a small-minded person. But, since he was already here, he couldn't just shut the door. He suppressed the impatience in his heart and allowed his son, Mo Yongji, to invite the grandfather and grandson to the living room. Big brother, I have a presumptuous request for you this time. Feng Chao has been stuck with a difficult alchemy problem for the past few days and she had to beg me to bring her here to meet uncle. What do you think? Mo Xiaoting braced himself and said the lines that Yun Chuzhou had prepared for him. Mo Xiaoquan couldn't help but frown. This Mo Xiaoting was really arrogant. Did he think that anyone could meet his father just because they wanted to? Did he think that just because his father gave the little girl a pill furnace, he would treat her differently? He really didn't know his own limits. As Mo Xiaoquan thought of this, his expression darkened as he said, "Brother Xiaoting, it's not that I'm unreasonable. It's just that father is very busy and old. If Feng Chao has any questions regarding alchemy, I can help her find an alchemist to answer them. Don't worry, our house will take care of the binding." This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Mo Xiaoting's face turned red. He could naturally tell that Mo Xiaoquan was taunting him. If Yun Chuzhou had not warned him beforehand, he would have left with a flick of his sleeve. "Big brother, you've misunderstood me. Our Guangshunzi can still take the responsibility. It's mainly because this Fangchao girl has already set her eyes on uncle." "I have no choice," Mo Xiaoting said with a sigh. Yun Chuzhou knew it was time for her to go on stage, so, she smiled and said, "Grandfather Xiaoquan, you may not know this, but after I return home, my mind is filled with the teachings of the Great Elder. I just want to see the Great Elder one more time. Otherwise, I won't be able to sleep or eat in peace. It's like I've lost my soul." The corners of Mo Xiaoquan and Mo Yongji's eyes twitched. This Mo Feng Chao was really thick-skinned. But, it was understandable. She must have wanted the Great Elder to have a favorable impression of her. She might even be able to stay in the Eastern continent. Her ambition was quite high. Mo Xiaoquan's expression turned even colder. "Feng Chao, I will pass on your filial piety. As for the pill, forget it." Pan Dn 0 Vel Com Mo Xiaoting wished he could find a hole and hide in it. He had said that it wouldn't work, yet this Feng Chao had said that it would work. But, now that she had been rebuked, what was she going to do? Yun Chuzhou sighed, "All right, since grandfather Xiaoquan has said so, as a junior, I can't force it. However, I have refined some pills for great-grandfather to strengthen his body and bones. I hope grandfather Xiaoquan can help me pass them on to him as a show of filial piety." Mo Xiaoquan felt disdain in his heart, but he forced a smile on his face. "Feng Chao's filial piety is commendable. Don't worry, I will definitely pass them on to father." Mo Xiaoting received Yun Chuzhi's glance. Although he was a little confused, he still said, "Big brother, Feng Chao and I still have some other matters to attend to. I won't disturb you any longer. We will take our leave now." Mo Xiaoquan did not try to convince him to stay for a while, then he let the two of them leave. After leaving the house, they arrived at a relatively remote corner. Mo Xiaoting's face was dark as he said unhappily, "Feng Chao, didn't you say that the first elder would definitely meet you? Why did you change your mind midway?" "Grandfather, of course we have to put bait first when fishing. We are here to put bait. Don't worry, the big fish will bite sooner or later. Don't worry. Let's go and have a good stroll. You can't stay in the mansion all the time." Yun Chuzhou did not care about Mo Xiaoting's dark expression. He was very confident. She was now a cash cow, so the most Mo Xiaoting could do was give her some face. He wouldn't do anything to her. As expected, Mo Xiaoting glared at her and did not say anything else. The grandfather and grandson arrived at West City. As soon as the merchants in West City saw Yun Chuzhou, they all smiled and said obsequiously, "Miss Feng Chao, you're here. Miss Feng Chao, come visit our silk shop. Miss Feng Chao, our snack shop has a new batch of delicious food. Come in and have a look. I'll give you a 10% discount." Mo Xiaoting was dumbfounded. But, he quickly thought of the gift and understood. These people must have thought that Feng Chao was here to purchase more food, that's why they were so enthusiastic. Yun Chuzhou had always been good at acting. She smiled as she chatted with everyone. Not long after, she became friends with the shopkeepers. It was as if she was one of the shopkeepers on the street. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. The corners of Mo Xiaoding's eyes twitched. If he wasn't aware of this, he would have thought that Feng Chao was also the owner of a shop. This little girl was simply too sociable. A moment later, Yun Chuzhou returned with a bunch of gifts from various shops, such as candied fruits and handkerchiefs. "Grandfather, let's go to a restaurant for a meal." Mo Xiaoting felt that even if this little girl didn't do anything, she could still make a fortune with just her mouth. She was too good at lying. A few words of flattery were enough to make the shopkeepers lose their minds. After the grandfather and grandson arrived at the restaurant, they asked for a private room and ordered a large table of food to eat. Mo Xiaoding's mind was preoccupied as he ate, while Yun Chujia's mouth was filled with oil. She couldn't help but praise, "The food on the eastern continent is much better than the food on the western continent. I bet the ingredients are filled with spiritual energy. Just for this delicious food, I'm going to stay on the eastern continent." Mo Xiaoding's mouth twitched. There was no other good-for-nothing reason. "But, you're dreaming." The first elder did not even see him. It seemed, his return to the eastern continent was going to be ruined. While the grandfather and grandson were eating, Mo Xiaoquan did not give the pills Yun Chuzhou gave him to the first elder. After Mo Xiaoting and Yun Chuzhou left, he opened the bottle and looked inside. Inside was a level 8 bone tempering pill. He could not help but curl his lips. It's only a level 8 bone tempering pill. Although it's high grade, it's not a high grade pill. There's no need to distract father. At this moment, the great elder sent for Mo Xiaoquan. Mo Xiaoquan couldn't help but feel a little confused. He quickly rushed to the great elder's study room. "Father, are you looking for me?" Although the great elder was in better spirits than the day before, he still looked weak. He nodded his head and asked, "I heard that Xiao Ting and the little girl are here." Mo Xiaoquan was a little unhappy. He knew that the great elder had always been worried about him. Many servants only listened to the great elder's arrangements. As a result, the things that happened in the main residence couldn't be hidden from the great elder. Mo Xiaoquan was unhappy, so he blamed his anger on Mo Xiaoding's grandfather and grandson. "Yes, Xiao Ting brought Feng Chao with him. He said that Feng Chao wanted to ask you about alchemy, but I sent him away. At first, I thought that Xiao Ting wasn't bad. I didn't expect him to be so ignorant. Who does he think he is? He's overestimating himself to want to meet you." The first elder furrowed his brows. He also felt that Mo Xiaoting and Yun Chuzhou were too rash. Even if they wanted to get close to him, they should have waited a while before coming back. But, they actually came today. It seemed that they had overestimated the little girl. Mo Xiaoquan saw the first elder's frown. He then continued, "Father, the people from Guangshunzi have been in the western continent for a long time, so their horizons are naturally limited. When they suddenly see the prosperity of the eastern continent, they are mesmerized. If there's a chance, it'll just give them a few words. You should stop worrying about these things and rest in peace." The first elder nodded. "Since that's the case, you can go back." Mo Xiaoquan took a few steps forward and thought of Yun Chujia's bottle of grade 8 bone tempering pills. He could not help but mock, "Father, oh right, that little girl gave me a bottle of pills before she left and asked me to give it to you. I thought it was some incredible medicinal pill, but in the end, it turned out to be a grade 8 bone tempering pill. Even though it's a high grade one, it can't be considered good. What did you say?" The first elder abruptly interrupted Mo Xiaoquan's words and asked loudly. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Mo Xiaoquan was shocked and his face was at a loss. "Father, you..." What happened to you? The first elder calmed himself down and asked, "Give me the medicinal pill that the fragrant grass gave you." Mo Xiaoquan handed the medicinal pill to the first elder and his face was filled with bafflement. It was only a grade 8 bone tempering pill. Why did father have such a big reaction? The first elder took the porcelain bottle and opened the lid to take a look. There were indeed 10 high-grade bone tempering pills inside. He could not help but frown. Was this little girl intentional or unintentional? P.A.N.D.N.O.V.L. If it was unintentional, then it was too much of a coincidence. After all, she was already able to refine grade 10 pills. Wouldn't it be more sincere if she directly gifted grade 10 pills? Why would she gift grade 8 bone tempering pills? If it was intentional, how much would she know? Could it be that she was gifting this bottle of medicinal pills to attract his attention? Mo Xiaoquan saw the change in the first elder's expression and asked in puzzlement, "Father, isn't this a level 8 bone tempering pill? Is there anything special about it?" The first elder sighed, "You also know that previously, in order to intimidate Shaoan, I consumed the hidden dragon pill. That medicinal pill is extremely harmful to the body. Only a level 20 rank 7 creation pill can completely remove the poison in the body. However, a level 27 transformation life creation pill is simply not available on the market. I can only use the bone quenching pill instead. Although the effect cannot be compared to the 7 transformation life creation pill, it can still have some effect." "Ah! Father, are you saying that Mo Fangchao knew that you took the hidden dragon pill, so she gave you the bone-quenching pill? This is impossible, right? Besides you and me, no one else knows about this matter. How did she find out? I reckon that she only has this bottle of bone-quenching pill on her, which is a grade 8 medicinal pill, so I gave it to you." Mo Xiaoquan did not quite believe that Yun Chuzhou had done it on purpose. If that was the case, this little girl was too strange, right? The great elder also did not quite believe it, but he had a suspicious nature. After pondering for a moment, he said, "No matter what, you find an excuse to call Fangchao over tomorrow. I'll test her." "Father, it's fine if she didn't mean it. But if she really finds out that you've taken the hidden dragon pill, what do you plan to do? Do you need me to think of a way to shut her up forever?" Mo Xiaoquan knew that the matter was of great importance. If the other 4 rooms heard about the hidden dragon pill, it would be bad. The great elder frowned. "Let's test her first. Guangshunzi's business is very important to us. If we can avoid falling out, let's not fall out." Although Xiao Ting was in charge of Guangshun's business, many of his ideas were made by Mo Fangchao. "If we kill her, the loss will be on us." "Then we'll do as you say. Tomorrow, I'll find a reason to call Mo Fangchao over." The next day, Yun Chuzhou had just eaten breakfast when Steward Xia came over. "Miss Fangchao, Miss Fangbing of the main house has invited you and Miss Fangjiao over to the residence to admire the flowers." "Okay, I'll be there in a moment," Yun Chujia's eyes flashed. It looked like the fish had taken the bait. After returning to the house, Yun Chuzhou took out her voice transmission talisman and informed Mo Xiaoting. She then left the Broken Moon Pavilion and ran into Mo Fangjiao who was looking for her. "Sister Fangchao, I advise you to pretend to be sick. Sister Fangbing must have taken the opportunity to teach you a lesson. Otherwise, why would she reward you with flowers?" Mo Fangjiao gloated. Yun Chuzhou pretended to be unconvinced. "Humph. I'm not afraid of her. She wasn't there when I went yesterday. Otherwise, if she dares to provoke me, I'll teach her a lesson." Mo Fangjiao finally managed to hide the pride in her heart. "If that's the case, then let's go. I'm telling you, if you provoke Sister Fangbing, I won't help you." Yun Chuzhou gave a cold snort with a prideful look and didn't say anything. Although there were 2 other girls in the 5th room, they were both stepdaughters, so Mo Fangbing didn't invite them. Yun Chujiu and Mo Fangjiao arrived at the door of the main room. Logically speaking, Mo Fangbing was the master, so she should come out to welcome them. However, Mo Fangbing did not come out. She only sent a maid to lead the way. Mo Fangjiao gave Yun Chujiu a look. Did you see what she meant? This Mo Fangbing did not look up to them at all. Mo Fangjiao saw the anger on Yun Chujia's face and felt even more proud. What an overconfident country bumpkin. With your identity, you still want to compete with Mo Fangbing? Just wait to be tortured. The maid brought Mo Fangjiao and Yun Chujiu around and arrived at a pavilion in the back garden of the house. In the pavilion, there was only Mo Fangbing and a maid. On the stone table, there were some pastries and spiritual fruits. When Mo Fangbing saw the two of them, she did not get up. She only nodded coldly. The two sisters are here. Come and sit. Mo Fangjiao pursed her lips. If she had not come to watch the show, she would not have bothered to look at Mo Fangbing's cold face. What was so great about it? Wasn't she just the daughter of a concubine? She was pretending to be noble. It was just the right time for the country bumpkin to remove her mask. Panda novel. Mo Fangjiao turned her head to look at Yun Chujiu when she thought of this. When she saw Yun Chujia's expression, she almost fainted from anger. Yun Chujia's face was smiling like a flower. Sister Fangbing, if I didn't know that you were sitting here, would have thought that a fairy had descended to the mortal world. Your aura is exactly the same as a fairy. I really admire you. A thought flashed through Mo Fangjiu's mind. Damn it, she was fooled by this Mo Fangbing again. She kept saying that she was not afraid of Mo Fangbing, but what happened? She was flattering her like a lackey. Why did she do this? Mo Fangbing heard Yun Chujia's flattering words. Although she knew that the Mo Fangbing in front of her was a scheming person, she still enjoyed it. She said indifferently, "Come and sit." Yun Chujiu walked up the steps and entered the pavilion. Mo Fangjiu's mind could not process it for a moment, so she could only glare at Yun Chujiu fiercely and also walked into the pavilion. After the two of them sat down, Mo Fangbing signaled the maid to pour 2 cups of tea for them and then stopped talking. The atmosphere in the pavilion was very awkward. If Mo Fangjiao hadn't figured out Yun Chujia's intention, she would have found an excuse to leave. This pretentious Mo Fangbing looked so high and mighty. It was really annoying. When Mo Fangjiao was feeling down, she heard a shameless voice say, Sister Fangbing, I'm a little hungry on the way here. Can I have some pastries and fruits? Mo Fangjiao couldn't hold it in anymore. Eat, eat, eat. You only know how to eat all day long. Are you a reincarnated hungry ghost? Sister Fangjiao, I really can't answer this question. After all, this person always drinks mang pa soup in his reincarnation. Do you still remember whether you were a pig or a little bastard in your previous life? Yun Chujiu asked seriously. Mo Fangbing, who was drinking tea, almost choked to death. This Mo Fangbing's words were really too sarcastic. I must tear your stinky mouth apart today. Mo Fangjiao was so angry that she was about to explode. Sister Fangjiao, why are you so anxious? I was just asking. You weren't a pig or a little bastard in your previous life. Could it be that you're a little donkey? Yun Chujiu stood up and hid behind Mo Fangbing as she said with a smile. Mo Fangjiao was so angry that her hands were trembling. Sister Fangbing, get out of the way. I must teach this country bumpkin a lesson today. Mo Fangbing stretched out her hand to stop Mo Fangjiao and said coldly, Fangjiao, I am the master today. If you want to fight, go back to your 5th room and fight again. Mo Fangjiao gritted her teeth but still did not dare to go against Mo Fangbing. She glared at Yun Chujiu fiercely. Mo Fangjiao, if you have the ability, don't go back to your 5th room today. Otherwise, I will not let you off. After saying that, Mo Fangjiao ignored Yun Chujiao and left angrily. Mo Fangbing gave a look to a maid who chased after her. On the surface, she escorted Mo Fangjiao out of the room, but in fact, she was monitoring her. Mo Fangbing glanced at Yun Chujiao who was chewing on the fruit and said coldly, Mo Fangbing, you deliberately drove Mo Fangjiao away, right? Yun Chujiao took 2 bites of the spiritual fruit and said with a smile, Sister Fangbing, why do you say that? Mo Fangbing coldly snorted, I admit that you are indeed very smart, but your little tricks are useless in front of me. I don't know what kind of bewitching soup you gave great-grandfather. Not only did you reward him with an alchemy furnace for the first time, but you even asked me to find a reason to call you to the manor. I'm warning you, don't have any improper thoughts. You're just a junior from a branch. My great-grandfather won't value you. Yun Chujiao casually tossed the fruit core behind her, then, she took out a handkerchief and wiped her hands. Sister Fangbing, you're really thinking too much. I'm just here to ask for some advice on alchemy. Moreover, you're the eldest great-grandfather's great-granddaughter. Are you afraid that a little girl like me, who has 5 servings, will compete with you for favor? Mo Fangbing's thoughts were exposed by Yun Chujiao, the cold expression on her face could not be maintained. Mo Fangbing, I don't have time to argue with you. Remember what I said today. If you anger me, I won't be like that idiot Mo Fangjiao, who will only scare you. Yun Chujia's face was still smiling. Sister Fangbing, I have a very good memory. I will remember every word you said. By the way, I think the spirit fruits and pastries taste good. Can I take them with me? Mo Fangbing's face stiffened. Then she glared at Yun Chujiao and said coldly to the other maid, take her to my great-grandfather's courtyard. Yun Chujiao never knew what embarrassment was. She put all the food on the stone table into her storage ring and jumped down from the pavilion. Before she left, she looked back and smiled. Sister Fangbing, thank you for your warm hospitality. Don't worry, I'm really just here to ask about alchemy. We will meet often in the future. Prepare more delicious food for me. Mo Fangbing looked at Yun Chujia's back and was so angry that she smashed the stone table into pieces. She knew that she had lost the first round. Because she was so angry with Yun Chujiao, but Yun Chujiao was not affected at all. Her composure was still not strong enough. Sister maid, how should I address you? Yun Chujiao smiled and tried to get close to the maid. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. The servant girl was obviously confused by the way Yun Chujiao addressed her. She paused for a moment before answering, Miss Fangcao, you can just call me Kaiyun. I can't bear the way you addressed me just now. TSK, even Sister Fangbing's servant girl is so cultured. It really makes me feel inferior. Kaiyun, let me ask you, how many years have you served Sister Fangbing? This servant has served the eldest miss for 5 years. The corner of Kaiyun's eyes twitched. Feeling inferior? That smug expression of yours should be described as smug, okay? 5 years? Then there was no value in poaching her. She would probably be loyal long ago, unless something happened. Kaiyun, I think the pastries just now taste pretty good. I wonder how the food in our residence tastes like. Since there was no value in poaching her, then she would tease her. It's all right. Kaiyun staggered. Even in her dreams, she did not expect Yun Chujiao to ask such a question. Not to mention the young ladies of the family. Even an ordinary family like Biyun would not ask her if the food was good when she was a guest. This person was really good. Not only did she ask, she even shamelessly said, we. She was really friendly. You are really humble. To be able to make such delicious pastries, the taste of the food is not bad either. I must stay for lunch today, Yun Chujio said with a smile as if she did not see Kai Yun's disdain. Kai Yun did not say anything. What a joke. What else could she say? Could it be that she could not stay? For the first time, Kai Yun felt that the distance from the garden to the great elder's courtyard was so long because Yun Chujio kept chattering beside her. Basically, it was all about the food in the big house. For example, what did Mo Fongbing usually eat for 3 meals a day? For example, what was the best dish in the big kitchen? When Kai Yun saw the great elder's courtyard, she excitedly said loudly, "Miss Fong Chao, the great elder's courtyard is right in front. This servant will send you here. This servant will take my leave." After saying that, Kai Yun hurriedly ran away, afraid that Yun Chujio would ask the great elder what he ate for 3 meals a day on a whim. Yun Chujio curled her lips and walked to the door of the courtyard. The guards at the door had obviously received the order, so a guard immediately brought Yun Chujio to the great elder's study. Yun Chujio saw the great elder sitting behind the desk, and the corner of her mouth twitched. She saw the great elder wrapped himself up tightly, only revealing a pair of eyes that seemed to be able to see through everything. Pan de N0VLTSKTSK, was this great elder planning to become a mummy? Fong Chao girl, you're here. I suddenly caught a cold yesterday, and I was afraid of infecting you, so I wrapped myself up so tightly. The great elder said kindly. Thank you for the great elder's love and care. I'm really touched. You should pay more attention to your body. Although Yun Chujio said that she was touched, in her heart, she pursed her lips and said it nicely. She was wrapped up so tightly because she was afraid that she would see the fact that her body was weak. You came yesterday and said that you have some difficult questions to ask me about the pills. Tell me, what questions do you have? The great elder saw that Yun Chujio did not have any other expression other than being touched, and his heart became uncertain. Was it just a coincidence that this little girl gave him the bone-quenching pill? Great master, I once read in a book that there is a type of medicinal pill that can stimulate a person's potential in a short period of time. I wonder if there is such a medicinal pill. Yun Chujio asked with a smile. However, the hand in her sleeve was holding the shadow escape talisman that still had the effect of 15 minutes. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.